Fans have been telling Netflix for months that The Witcher was going to be a catastrophic failure, and that's exactly what's happened. As soon as Henry Cavill made the big announcement that he was leaving his dream role as Geralt because the showrunners, the writers, everybody attached to this production had absolutely zero respect for the source material, and the fans couldn't stand it. And he finally had enough. He said goodbye, and the fans knew that this was going to be the end, but a lot of people in the mainstream media tried to cover for him. Well, now here's the result. The Witcher Season 3 suffers unexpected ratings plunge amid Henry Cavill's departure. There was nothing unexpected about this, to be quite honest. We've been telling people for months this would happen, and now here it is. Not just when you look at the audience rating, the 22% score on Rotten Tomatoes, a pathetic failure for what once was thought to be the next flagship show for Netflix, another potential Game of Thrones, adult-themed fantasy series. That has not been the case because no one is tuning in. It has seen an over 60% decline when you look at the audience for Season 3, and things continue to get worse because now Netflix producers are starting to speak out. People who are attached to this show are starting to assign blame, and of course, they're not assigning it to themselves for not following the lore. They're not assigning it to themselves for shoving in identity politics at each and every turn. Instead, they're blaming the fans. A salty producer of The Witcher decided to blame the audience's intelligence for the show's failing viewership. Oh man, let's get into this. My man Eric Kane, actually over at Forbes, has a decent article on this. The Witcher producer blames stupid Americans and emotional young people for the show's failures. There are times when we should probably keep our mouths shut, times when silence is golden. For instance, let me introduce to you Tomek Baginski, a producer on the Netflix drama The Witcher. Baginski should perhaps follow the adage, better remain silent than be thought a fool, and then speak and remove all doubt. In an interview with a Polish news site, he gave many reasons why changes were made to The Witcher show that deviated from the books and short stories, including production chaos and unforeseen issues, before saying this. When a series is made for a huge mass of viewers with different expectations from different parts of the world, and a large part of them are Americans, these simplifications not only make sense, but they're necessary. It's painful for us, and for me too, but the higher level of nuance and complexity will have a smaller range, but it won't reach people. Sometimes it may go too far, but we have to make these decisions and accept them. It is one thing to admit that if you're going to adapt something, you can't necessarily bring it straight from the page to the book and what you're trying to do because that might take too long. You might have to cut some characters out. You might have to combine some characters, plots, and arcs and things like that, like we saw with Game of Thrones for several seasons. It's another thing to insinuate that, these Americans, they're just so stupid they wouldn't fucking understand it. The same Americans that bought up these books in droves, the same Americans that consumed the hell out of the video game, which did a way better job of recreating that world than this series did. Are you fucking kidding me? I know this is crazy, but maybe what you should take away from this show is that all the fans out there that wanted the same exact experience from the books and from the games, maybe you should have given them that instead of trying to cater to a different audience, because now everybody despises what you're doing. But it didn't just stop there. It's not just, dumb Americans. It's also, the audience, these young people, they just don't get it. They're too caught up in the TikTok or Instagram mentality. They're not ready for something deep like this. Here's an exchange between the interviewer and the producer. The audience changes. It's not like it all changes. I see the quickening of the process, wrote his book after the script. We resign from cause and effect chains, from linear narration, this book-like narration. When it comes to shows, the younger the public is, the logic of the plot is less significant. What is significant then? Just emotions, just pure emotions, a bare and emotional mix. Those people grew up on TikTok and YouTube. They jump from video to video. You're talking to such a person. Okay, time to be serious. Dear children, what do you do to yourself makes you feel less resilient for longer content, for long and complicated chains of cause and effect? Now, there is definitely criticism of what's going on with social media and how the short attention span, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, what you've done in Season 3 has been a failure, completely and utterly, with that same audience you're claiming that you're trying to resonate with. The problem isn't that, the audience is just so emotional, blah, blah, blah. That's not it. The audience can sit there and watch House of the Dragon and love what they're seeing. That's the core audience that you should be shooting for as well. But The Witcher falls flat because The Witcher completely abandons its core fan base, the fan base that wanted to see some of these things, and instead decided to push identity politics, decided to make it about all these different women and how much better and more important they are than Geralt, and they got all of the screen time in this series. So you have this condescending prick producer who has a show that is a complete and utter failure, and instead of acknowledging that maybe it's some things that they're doing that the audience, isn't really down for, instead he's blaming the audience for the changes they had to make and then blaming them for not liking those said changes that they claim they made for them. It's just fucking pathetic. The Witcher series is officially a disaster, a catastrophe, both with the audience score and with the ratings that they're seeing. So much of the audience just picked up and left, quite frankly, because they weren't interested anymore. And now they're, of course, blaming the fans. Let me know your thoughts about all this in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.